Hey everyone, Backpack Hack here coming at you with another trail tip. And I'm back in one of my most favorite spots in the world, the backcountry of the Rocky Mountains. I was here about a year ago, and one thing I did bring with me is my solar panel setup where I have my battery bank power wells and my solar panel. And this is the setup that I brought last year. And it served me well. It kept everything charged up. My cell phone, my tablet, the camera, and the microphones that I use to take these videos, two-way radios, flashlights. It kept all those things charged up. The biggest problem I had was this right here. This is the only interface I have with the entire thing to draw power from. I've only got two cigarette lighter outlets and two USB ports, and they're all on one switch. And the problem was I was always plugging and unplugging things and changing cords and everything. And also having all this weight and all this space, along with the charge controller and a meter that I built to monitor the solar coming in, all this on the table was just taking up too much space and was a lot of weight on the table. And so I was sitting here last year thinking maybe I could come up with a system that would eliminate all of the weight and the space that this was taking up and get these on the floor somehow and still be able to have access to the power up on the table and take up a lot less space and be a lot lighter. So what I came up with is I went to Harbor Freight and I bought one of their gun cases. It's a Pelican knockoff, and I built what I call my solar control panel. And it contains everything that I need on the desk or on the table, all of my power in, all my power out. I have plenty of options to do everything here, and this gets the weight and the bulk of all this off of the table and onto the floor. It gives me a lot more space to work with. Before I get into the details of what's on the inside, let's go over what's on the outside. I have two ports here that connect to the power well banks, and if you want to know more about those, watch the videos that I've got up here, and there'll be a link in the description below. Also, I have a dual port Anderson power pole connection, and that's where my solar inputs. What I did was I got a couple of these 3-foot 12 gauge SAE extensions that go between here and the identical connection on my power wells. And if I plug this one in, that brings power well 1 into the wiring inside. I have two Anderson power pole inputs for solar, even though I only have one panel. And all I have to do is plug that in, and now the system is complete and ready to operate. As I open it up, you can see that there are several switches and fuses. Every switch has a fuse associated with it, so if there's an issue with any part of the system, I can isolate that by either turning the switch off or removing the fuse. But that way everything is fused, so there's a lot of safety built into it. Power comes in from the solar into the solar controller. Now this is not the solar controller itself. This is actually a remote display. The controller is built into the base itself, and there's a Cat5 cable that I ran between it and here. This is really designed for RVs and trailers. It came with a 25-foot cord. I didn't need that much. I just made my own patch cord to make the communication between the controller itself that's built inside and this display. If I want to turn the solar panel on, I can do that. It brings this online. It will go through a test function. It takes about 30 seconds for it to go through the test. Make sure everything's functioning correctly. I have the two power wells, and I have those addressable by two switches here. And I can bring either one of those online with the switches. And in a second here, it should tell me that it's going to start charging the batteries. I'm at 12.97. I saw it jumped up to 13.87. It's telling me that I'm charging now. This is what's coming in from the solar, and this is what's going out to all the loads. It's already charging my batteries up to 14.2. They're probably well charged. But this tells me everything I need to know about the solar. It tells me it's doing a 50-50 split in the battery banks, is putting out 19 volts, 2.6 amps, 2.5 amps, and that's what's going to the power well. Since they're well charged, I'm going to go ahead and turn the solar off and run everything else off of just the battery bank This is a meter that tells me the voltage and current that's going to all the loads. I have 13.14 volts in the battery bank right now. No amps are going out because there's no load to it. But basically the power comes out and goes to these 3 loads. I've got 3 cigarette lighter plugs, and they're all on one switch. I have 4 USB ports, and I did that just because I got a pair of these when I ordered them online. Those are on their own switch, and you can see when I turn them on, they do draw a little bit of current. And this is a small buck boost transformer kit. It'll take anywhere from 5 to 30 volts and convert it to anything from 5 to 30 volts. So if I want to charge a 9-volt battery, I can put some test leads in here and clip onto that and use this system to charge a 9-volt battery, or a single 18650, or a 24-volt battery if I wanted to. I could do that. But this gives me the option of plugging things in, leaving them plugged in, and then I can turn them on and off as I need the load. So I don't have to keep plugging and unplugging everything. To expound on this a little bit more, this switch switches between the internal wiring here and an external connection set that is down here, or I'm sorry, over here. I can bring an external voltage source into these ports. They're all wired in parallel. So I can do banana plugs, shielded banana plugs, or a coax 5521 DC coax connection. Any voltage from 5 to 30 volts, and switch this down to external, and it will power this, and then I can dial in the voltage out and use test leads to get that voltage out. So I would be able to charge a 9-volt battery off a 24-volt battery. I would be able to take a 12-volt battery and charge a 6-volt battery. Any combination of those I can do, and I'll put this on internal, I can dial in the voltage, whatever voltage I want, by turning this dial and change the voltage that this is being supplied with to the voltage that I want. Not going to get too much into that, but it's just a feature that I found this little module online, and I thought it'd be a good addition to include in here because I had the real estate in this case to do it. Now, I'm not going to get into how I actually wired the internals. If you're competent enough to build one of these, you'll be able to take a look at this and be able to reverse engineer it. I'm not interested in making these for anybody because I've probably got about $225, $250 in material in this, just this alone, not with these or the solar panel or anything like that. And if I started building them, somebody says, well, I don't want it in a case, I want it in an ammo can, and I don't want this, and I want this, and I want more of these, and I want fewer of these. It'd just be a nightmare to try to sell them. So I'm just throwing this out here as an idea for you. Maybe you want to do this something for like this for yourself. And like I say, if you're familiar with electronics and low voltage electricity and solar panels, you'll be able to reverse engineer this and design it and build it the way you want. So this is Backpack Hack coming at you with this trail tip. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment on my videos. Be safe out there, and I'll see you out on the trail.